2. Yes, it is 1012 or 112 uh AM Central European Time. Excuse me, y'all. That will make it 7:12 Eastern Standard Time, USA. we we back at it again. Let me turn the chat on. I don't know, somebody in this place. Oh my goodness. But in any case, folks, I'm back again. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Oh my goodness, as I sip on my coffee and I just think about all the news going around, it is really, really just off the chain. But I'm having some reflections. Mm. I'm having some reflections, and you know, I would tell people, I myself, like a lot of people, have no idea what comes tomorrow. I'm sure there's some people that are just in the 9 to 5, not much they can do, just going to repeat the same things, and that's okay. That's fine. I'm no issue with that. But then I also know there's a lot of people really, really concerned about what's going on and can't just continue to do the same exact same. Or, I mean, some planning might need to take place, some preparation might need to take place because let's just be honest, people are flipping off Nazi signs. We know that they're lunatics. Um, we know that these kind of people are really like bullies. They like to blow up things. These Nazis, they like to, shoot people, hang people, catch people by themselves. Either show up somewhere with a automatic rifle and just shoot up a bunch of people who haven't done anything to them, stuff like that. And let alone then you have the extra added element of having leadership from the White House that's flipping off Nazi signs and have a lot of billionaires that seem to be okay with fascist statements, fascist, fascist hand signs, symbols, while they're taking away the 14th Amendment. So, hey, we get it. You're fascist and you don't like women voting, you don't like African Americans being citizens, instead of being animals. You forgot people's presence in building the country, and you just imagined that you just made it all by yourself, even though a lot of you, like Trump, weren't even here anywhere near the Declaration of Independence or the Civil War, which is really, really pathetic. And it's getting to the point where Americans that families have been around in that joint for a minute since those days, for real, are starting to get a little pissed off. And that's because we get to hear people like Sean Hannity. We get to hear people like Trump. We get to hear these people talk about shit and they weren't even around. And then they talk like they have authority on the topic, authority on what it is to be American. They are phonies. I mean, you could go down the list. Enrique, whatever his name is, where is he from? Where is he from? Who are you to try to tell someone else what they're supposed to be in the United States? Who the fuck are you, Enrique? I mean, my goodness, let me just go to some of my phone stuff, man, and drop some links in here. This is really ridiculous, but let me see. Oh, I got to turn the phone on. Yeah, there are some interesting topics, and I guess I'm going to start here. Why do minorities support Trump? I mean, you know, There's a loads of articles like this right now, and my goodness, I don't know what to say, but you guys, who, if you're a minority, if you're a marginalized person of any regard, voting for Trump is about the dumbest thing you could have ever done. You know, um, yeah, but I'm really at a loss of words sometimes. But let me pull this article up and give me 2 seconds here. Let me see so I can put it over on this one on the laptop. 2 seconds. Mm. Prices going up, stock market going down. Hey, but that's what Trump promised, right? He told you, all you MAGA folk, he told you, hey, it's going to be a little bit of pain first. Don't worry. Don't worry, y'all. Let me see. Where's it at? Is it here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me just open this up on the laptop real quick. Come on, here we go. Yeah, but I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm sure there's demonstrations, there's protests probably all over the country right now today, and you know that's where I would be if I was in the States. To be honest with you, I mean, real talk. I'm not just saying it; I actually mean it. But be careful, y'all, because Trump now has the FBI. He has pretty much everything except the courts, and he's got the Supreme Court. We know that. That's what got people into trouble in the first place with Trump. Supreme Court Republicans and Mitch McConnell, Republican. That's okay that you're a Republican. It doesn't make you special. It doesn't mean you're not a human being. It doesn't mean you're not a monster. You know, all Republicans aren't like that. But for the record, and there's a lot of other Americans that aren't affiliated with any party that don't even fucking vote. 80 million, 90 million, almost. Um, these type of people are the reason why, billionaires can talk about, you know, talk about what it is to be American. Billionaires can decide what laws to follow and what laws not to follow. I mean, the billionaires basically said, "You Americans don't vote, f y'all. We taking over." That's what they said. And MAGA people, Republicans, you should be upset too because hey, what did you do to get someone else to vote? I mean, you live in a country with 80 million people that don't vote. Of course, some billionaires will walk all over you. Because if you're not voting, do you even respect the democracy you live in? If you're not voting, do you? I don't think you do. I don't think you respect that because it may as well be slavery. Now, let me see something here. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me go to my page. Oh, I'm on my page. Okay. Now, let me pull this up. Uh, there was an interesting article. I just want to go through it real quick before we get into the other thing. And there's been some changes in the law over here in Denmark, actually, some implementations, and which has been very interesting. And it's not about Trump's punk ass, but it's about a good topic about discrimination and the laws and how they want to add more forms of discrimination to the hate crimes report because it's kind of limited right now, and how the police would process that and la la la. So those are some good steps. But 2 seconds here. What is this? Right. What is this? Enrique Tarrio arrested. I mean, look at this fool. This fool is already arrested. Leader of the Proud Boys arrested again. I mean, and that's not even the only one. Let me see here. Let me go to that real quick. Leader of the Proud Boys arrested. I'm waiting for Pumpkin to get up here. Now let's see. Can we go to this? Right. This is just the most retarded crap. You know what? Let's go to this article. They're all getting locked up. Oh, there you go. Hey, Andrea. Okay, I see y'all now. Let me just drop this link. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. In any case, I have this up here right now, and it illustrates, just to remind people, who it is that voted for Kamala Harris and who it is that didn't, right? Who it is that wanted this madness that they're seeing right now and who it is that didn't. So the rest of the world, just pay attention right down there, right around here where it says black Americans voted 86% for Kamala Harris, and probably even higher because of the voter suppression, 13% for Trump. We're the lowest group for Trump to get any support at all. And a lot of other people voted a lot of different ways. You know, black women, kudos to you. Only 7% of you even dared elect a lunatic like Trump, a hater of you and your people. Only 7%. Kudos to you. Black men, 21% of black men voted for a man that hates their own people. Like literally wants to take away the 14th Amendment. You would be an animal still. I mean, what could be worse than that? You know, but we're gonna go into some data for real because there's some other things. Now let me pull this up on the screen. Where is this? Enrique. What's his name? Okay, here we go. Is it here? Boom. Now let's go down to here and see this video. I hope y'all can see it. Let's check it out. Is it rocking? Oh, there it is. Come on. Seems a little slow. Let me try to restart it. Maybe it'll be better the second time around. If it's too tight, just leave it on. Okay, this is February 21st. This is 2 days ago. So where is this? At the Capitol? Okay. It says here, former Proud Boys leader Enrico Tarrio arrested in D.C. Police arrested former Proud Boy leader Henry Enrique Tarrio outside the U.S. Capitol. Press us down. Give us room to operate. Following a confrontation with a protester. Okay, so he's down there. So this is some more little, you know. In any case, man, you should be ashamed of yourself, like really. And also, please leave America, the United States of America, very fast. Please, because you are just a complete, utter embarrassment to healthy thinking. You know, like seriously, this is really irritating having to look at these folks. All right, now let me bring up another thing real quick. It's a few of them, but I was going over the tax rate, and a lot of people don't really look into taxes. Who, you know, we get the idea, the way these billionaires talk, a lot of us get the idea that somehow they're paying all the taxes, and they're not, y'all. The billionaires are barely even paying taxes at all. The 80% of the U.S. federal dollars, the federal budget, is paid for by people that, what is it? I think it's something like, what is it? Under $1 million? Folks is making less than $1 million a year. Let's go through the data here. This is crazy. Yeah, let's go through the data. Right. First of all, how much is the Fed budget, right? The annual budget.
As of fiscal year 2025, the U.S. federal budget is approximately $7 trillion, representing 23.3% of the gross domestic product, GDP. Cite, turn, search. This budget encompasses both discretionary and mandatory spending. Discretionary spending. The Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023 set the base discretionary spending limit at $1.606 trillion for FY 2025, a 1% increase from FY 2020. This includes $895 billion allocated for defense and $711 billion for non-defense expenditures. Cite, search, mandatory spending. Mandatory spending. which covers programs like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, constitutes the remaining portion of the budget. For instance, the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, has proposed $1.7 trillion in mandatory budget authority for FY 2025. Cite turns search. It's important to note that these figures are subject to change based on legislative actions and economic conditions. For the
Right.
most current information,
Now,
consulting official sources
oh,
such as the Congressional Budget Office or the Office of Management and Budget is recommended.
okay. And now when you say how much of that payroll, how much of that is from payroll and income tax? You see, it says the yearly budget is 7 trillion, right? And how much of that is from payroll taxes and income taxes, right? And let's see here. Let's see what it says.
Based on the estimated 7.0 trillion US federal budget for FY 2025, let's break down how much comes from income and payroll taxes. Individual income taxes, 49.3% of total federal revenue. Payroll taxes, 30% of total federal revenue. Hash calculation. If total revenue is roughly equal to spending, 7 trillion. Income tax revenue equals 49.3% of 7.4 trillion yuan. Payroll tax revenue equals 30% of 7.1 trillion. Total from income and payroll taxes, 5.55 trillion, about 79% of the total budget. The remaining revenue comes from corporate income taxes, 9%, excise taxes, tariffs, and other sources.
9% from corporations. You see this bullshit? Corporate income taxes. Now check this out. What range in salary are the income tax and payroll taxes collected? Like, how much do these people make that are paying this? Check this out.
Income and payroll taxes are collected across different salary ranges, but they apply differently based on income levels and tax structures. Income tax, progressive tax. The federal income tax is progressive, meaning higher income levels are taxed at higher rates. Tax brackets for 2024, single filers, 10%, $11,600, 12%, $11,601 to $47,150, 22%, $47,150, $100,525, 105,26, $191,907, $191,951, $243,25, 35, 43, 726, 609,350, 37, over 609,050. Most Americans fall in the 12 to 24% range. Payroll taxes, flat but capped. Payroll taxes fund Social Security and Medicare and are deducted from wages up to a certain limit. Social Security tax, 12.4% total, 6.2% from the employee, 6.2% from the employer, on wages up to 168,600's 2024 limit. Earnings above this are not taxed for Social Security. Medicare tax, 2.9% total, 1.45% from employee, 1.45% from employer, on all wages, no cap. Additional Medicare tax, 0.9% on wages above $200,000 single filers or $250 married filers. Who pays? Income tax collected from most workers, with higher earners paying a greater percentage. Payroll tax applied only to wages and salaries, not investment income. High earners stop paying Social Security tax after $168,600, but continue paying Medicare tax on all earnings. Would you like more details on tax burdens for different income groups?
Okay. And then ask, is it 80% of the federal yearly budget is paid from income tax and payroll tax? I'm just reaffirming that to make sure I'm getting this right. Check this out.
Yes, approximately 79%, 80% of the US federal budget is funded by income and payroll taxes. Here's the breakdown for FY 2025, based on a $7.0 trillion federal budget. Individual income taxes, 49.3% of total federal revenue, $3.45 trillion. Payroll taxes, 30% of total federal revenue, $2.1 trillion. Total from income and payroll taxes, $5.55 trillion per 79% of total budget. Other revenue sources, 21%, corporate income taxes, 9%, excise taxes, gas, alcohol, tobacco, etc., equal to 3%, tariffs, estate taxes, Federal Reserve remittances, etc., 9%. So nearly 4 out of every $5 the government spends comes from working individuals through income and payroll taxes, while corporations, investments, and other sources cover the rest.
You see that? So 4 out of $5 the government spends come from working individuals through income tax and payroll tax, right? You hear that, Bev? Oh, I guess Beverly stepped out for a second. Bev, are you there? Okay, maybe she's stuck a little bit. Let me know in the chat if you can still hear me out there. As a matter of fact, let me try to pull it up on my phone. But in any case, this is one of the things that I've been looking at today. You know, how these folks, they're sitting around talking about regular folks' money, regular folks' income tax. And they're the ones that's spending the money like like it grows on trees. And they're looking at us like we're just a piece of nature. They just come by and pluck off a piece of fruit anytime they want. Anytime they want. Um, yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing? You good? You okay? All right, that's great. Oh, you gotta do yeah, you gotta check your audio settings. I think you probably might need to check your mic settings, Bev. But just yeah, look into the mic settings. Yeah, yeah, I think it's got something called echo cancellation, right? But yeah. But you when you get your audio, let me know when you get your audio straight, okay? Right. All right now. Okay, let me see here. Let me pull this up. Now let me go over into the current news. But back to this billionaire stuff while I take a look at this. I mean, a lot of people think that the money is coming from these billionaires that they're spending. No, y'all, working people, people that got 9 to 5 jobs, they're actually throwing your money around. It's your money they screwing over. It's literally your money. They get everything from you. If it wasn't for the working American citizen, these people would not be billionaires. They wouldn't be. The government would not run, y'all. Without you all, the government cannot be financed. You see? And when the government is not financed, guess who is not protected? The billionaires, corporations around the globe are not protected. And American people, guess who pays more into protecting the billionaires' businesses around the planet and the functioning government that goes on in general regarding the United States? It's the everyday taxpayer. It's not the billionaires. It's not the billionaires at all. And the billionaires have been making more money in the United States of America, more profits than anywhere else on earth, pretty much. We got more billionaires than they're doing very well by the United States citizens' hard work. Folks need to stand up for themselves. You know, people need to stand up for themselves. I mean, because this is like being a slave. Now, check out the other figure. This is going to kill y'all. This is going to kill y'all. Check this out. Check this out. Is the is the is the economic gap between a slave the in the colonial period of America, or no, is the economic more more or less than the gap between an average employee in the USA and a billionaire. Check this out, y'all. The gap between the wealth gap between the average worker and the billionaires in the USA is worse than it was in slavery. This is crazy. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I'm just saying, let's take a listen.
This is a fascinating and complex question that involves historical context, economic systems, and definitions of wealth and income disparity. Let's break it down. 1. Wealth gap in colonial America, slavery era. During the colonial period in America, 1800s, enslaved people had zero legal income or wealth because they were legally considered property. Their labor generated immense wealth for slaveholders and the broader economy, but they personally accumulated no economic assets. Slave owners' wealth. Some of the wealthiest plantation owners had fortunes worth millions in today's dollars. Enslaved people's wealth. Zero, or even negative if you account for the cost of being owned. Economic gap. Infinite, because enslaved people legally had no recognized earnings or assets. 2. Modern economic gap. Worker versus billionaire. Today, the average full-time worker in the US earns about $60,000 per year. Meanwhile, billionaires have fortunes ranging from $1 billion to over $200 billion. Billionaire wealth. Example, Jeff Bezos, $200 Elon Musk, $200. Average worker wealth. The median US net worth is about $192,900. Economic gap. A billionaire has about 5 million times the net worth of an average American. 3. Comparing the two gaps. Comparison. Slavery era, 1700s. Modern economy, 2020's dollars. Lower class wealth, zero or negative, $60,000 income, $192,900 net worth. Upper class wealth, wealthy plantation owners, millions in today's dollars, billionaires, $1 $200. Gap factor, infinite, slaves had no assets. 5 million times more wealth. Conclusion. The economic gap was more extreme during slavery because enslaved people legally had no wages, no assets, and no financial rights, making the disparity functionally infinite. However, modern inequality is still massive. A billionaire's fortune is millions of times greater than an average worker's. While workers today have rights, social mobility, and access to wealth building, economic power is still highly concentrated at the top.
And
Would
look,
you like a deeper dive into economic mobility between the two periods?
and check this out. The bottom line is, if you paid a slave $1, if you just paid them 50 cents, it would be more. Let me see something. What if slaves got 10 cents a day? Would the gap, how would the gap, yeah, how would the gap compare? I should even say 5 cents, just to, yeah, gap. How would the gap, let me say 5 cents, I'm sorry, be compared? Let me just see what it comes up with. You know, I was taking a look at this yesterday. People, just so people have an idea and they can hear it themselves of how much money and what the issue, what the economic situation is really like for a lot of Americans. Oh, it's still coming up with data, and a lot of people don't realize how
If
close that
enslaved
really
people had
is.
been paid 5 cents per day, we could compare their annual income to the wealth of wealthy plantation owners in the colonial period, and then compare that to today's worker-billionaire gap. Hashtag 1. Adjusting for inflation. Let's convert 5 cents per day to an annual wage and adjust for inflation. 5 cents per day times 365 days equals $18.25 per year. Adjusted for inflation from 1800 to today, using 2000x inflation factor, 18.25 times 2000 equals $36,500 per year in today's dollars. This is close to a low-wage worker today. Economic gap in colonial America. Wealthy plantation owner, e.g. Thomas Jefferson, estimated to $212 million in today's dollars. Slave making 5 cents day, inflation adjusted 36,500 a year. Wealth gap, $212 million would have 36,500, 5,800 times more wealth for the plantation owner. 3. Modern economic gap, worker versus billionaire. Average US worker salary, $60,000 a year. Wealth of a billionaire, e.g. Jeff Bezos, $200 billion, $60,000, 3.3 million times more wealth for the billionaire. 4. Comparing the two gaps scenario. Wealth of the elite, earnings of the lower class, wealth gap factor. Colonial period, slavery, 5 cent day pay, $212 million, 36,500 a year. Modern US, billionaire versus worker, 200 bays, billionaire, 60,000, 3.3 million counts, half 5. Conclusion. Even if enslaved people had earned a low but real wage, 5 cents a day, the modern wealth gap is still far larger than the slavery era gap. Slavery, with 5 cent pay, richest person was 5,800 times wealthier. Modern US economy, billionaires are 3.3 million times wealthier than the average worker. This suggests that while enslaved people were obviously far worse off in terms of personal freedom and rights, the raw economic disparity between rich and poor is actually greater today than during slavery, if slaves had been paid at all.
Now, I know that sounds funny to a lot of people, but you can do this math. You could say 1 cent, you could say 50 cent, and explore those numbers. Listen, it can go down to, maybe, I don't know, 50 cent, 10 cent, 1 cent, damn, 1 cent? Does it have to go lower? Is there anything lower than 1 cent, even in US dollars? Not really, but just to try to conceive it, even if you went down to, let me just do this right now. What if they got paid 1 cent a day? Let's just see here. Just to be clear about this. Oh, this is ridiculous, but it's important to put things into perspective so people know what normal was versus what it's about to be.
If enslaved people had been paid 1 cent per day, we can calculate how that economic gap compares to today's billionaire worker gap. 1. Adjusting for inflation. 1 cent day, 365 days equal $3.65 per year. Adjusted for inflation, 2000x from 1800 to today, 365 times 2000 equals $7,300 per year in today's dollars. This is far below the US poverty line, $15,000 a year for a single person. 2. Economic gap in colonial America. Wealthy plantation owner, e.g. Thomas Jefferson, 212 million, inflation adjusted. Slave making 1 cent day, inflation adjusted, 7,300 a year. Wealth gap, 212 million, $7,300, 29,000 times more wealth for the plantation owner. 3. Modern economic gap, worker versus billionaire. Average US worker salary shows $60,000 per year. Wealth of a billionaire, e.g. Jeff Bezos, 200 billion was $60,000, 3.3 million times more wealth for the billionaire.
There it is.
Nada
y'all.
4. Comparing the two gaps. Scenario. Wealth of the elite, earnings of the lower class. Wealth gap factor. Comparing the two gaps. Colonial period. Slavery. 1 cent turned a day pay to $112. Wealthy plantation owner. $7,300 to a year. Modern US. Billionaire versus worker. 200 bar. 60,000 year. 3.3 million. Even if enslaved people had been paid 1 cent per day, the wealth gap between billionaires and modern workers is still much larger than the slavery-era wealth gap. Slavery. The richest person was 29,000 times wealthier. Modern US economy. Billionaires are 3.3 million times wealthier than the average worker. This means that while enslaved people suffered from extreme oppression and lack of rights, Purely in terms of wealth inequality, the modern system produces even greater economic disparity between the richest and average workers.
Y'all following me now? See, I hope this brings some perspective because they want to even take more. And the gap between pretty much a slave and a slave master, the economic gap between those two, as you can see illustrated here. I mean, we had to use some kind of number. So we said 1 cent a day. Let's just assume they paid them 1 cent a day. Man, that would put the slave master at 7,000 times more, making more money than the slave, 7,000 times more. But the average billionaire today, which is the richest person, right? These billionaires, the average one make 3.3 million times more than the average worker. Um, and they want to take more. They want to punish you in the United States of America. And I'm here to tell you, a lot of those people that bought guns in the United States of America are not planning on using any of those guns to save democracy. No. See, a lot of them have those guns because they just hate other people and because they're willing to die for these billionaires. They're willing to kill Americans for billionaires just for scraps, just for scraps. Kind of like, kind of like, what do they call the slave? You know, the slaves that would turn into other slaves, the snitches, you know, the ones that would whip the other slaves. This kind of stuff is really like this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far with this, but I don't think I am. You know, I think this is very rational, a rational approach to understanding where we are in today's time and what's going on. The wealth gap between the average worker and a billionaire is 3.3 million times greater. If you paid a slave 1 cent a day in the colonial period, the wealth gap of the master would only be 7,000 times greater. I don't know. I don't know if that says anything to you, to folks, but it's it is going on, and it's in real time. Uh, I'm really hoping that people people stand up and see what's going on. Of course, things could get worse, and people don't have to stand up. But I'm telling you, if people don't stand up this time around, it's going to be it. It's going to be done. You don't have a choice. This man and these people have made folks have no choice but to stand up and to stop themselves from being put into slavery. Straight up. And you can pretend it's not going on. Let me tell you, when you have all your allies threatened, making moves to defend themselves, making real moves, investing billions and billions and billions of more dollars in weapons so they can defend themselves because crazy ass Trump is threatening them. Let me tell you something, Americans. You are in trouble for your life. And I feel really screwed up that I even have to say this shit because I'm not the type of person to go out and say that there's a fire, 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 and cry wolf. I'm like, I never in my life thought I would ever see something like this, but I'm gonna tell you, um, it's it, if 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 this man is stopped. Would you say, Bev? Sorry about that. Go ahead. You back? No, I said if this man is not stopped. Yeah, if this man is not stopped, um, folks are gonna be in serious, serious trouble. Like, folks are gonna be like these people. They really want to put people into slavery. They're not playing. And I'm not talking about the little cornball proud boys because these are losers. These are losers. Folks shouldn't be scared of them. Fight them. Fight them. Fight them. But these billionaires, they want to put everybody into slavery straight up in the United States of America. Straight that's what they want to do. They want to steal from the people that have that make the country. That's what they want. Why they want it? I don't know. Maybe it is just about some racist shit. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's about some authority. We know it's about authoritarianism. We know it's about Nazi fascism. Of course, that's crazy when you're already doing fantastic and you won't ever do better ever in your life. But these people are crazy. They think they can squeeze some more money out of the American people. But we saw the data. Yeah. Okay, Beth. Tell me what's going on. What should I be checking out for too? Sorry. Go ahead. I'm really upset. I mean, I'm losing my mind over. I'm not losing my mind, but I have a very bad feeling about this. Like, I'm the type of person where it's like when I pay attention to things and I like to be out of the way before it hits. I don't wait around myself. So I'm usually early calling things for what it is. Yeah, go ahead. Right. What was that about? Let's go to that. What was that about? Tell me what that was about, Bev. The military purge. Oh, yeah, but you know what, Beth? It's like they go find the 1% and throw them out there. I don't want to say 1%, maybe it's 2% or whatever, or 13%, right? As we know, they said something like 21% of black men, but it's probably less due to the voter suppression. But let's say they will go into the 15% of black men and find one that's willing to come out and do that to his own people. And there's always one. There's always two. There's going to be hundreds of them. There's going to be hundreds of these types. You know, and that's how that's what they do. But we know from the data. We know from the data, the real data that matters. This is what it really looks like. This exactly. So he wants a check. He wants a little check. He want a handout. He want a biscuit. He wants a handout because he's weak, ain't got no backbone, you know? And it's nothing worse than a grown ass man with no backbone. Like, seriously. It's nothing worse than a grown ass man that, is not put well together, at least mentally, his mental shit together, his spiritual stuff together to know that you can't do that. That's going against your whole struggle, everyone. How can a black man support a damn fascist Nazi movement in the United States of America when the fascists were the problem? You see, the 14th Amendment, they want to turn you back into an animal. How could anyone vote for that? That's insane. I can understand how other people may women, how could women? It's even more women. Not hold on, not black women, though, not black women, but the rest of these women, they they don't even realize they couldn't even vote or own property until the 14th Amendment, the same amendment that allowed black people to vote. And they betrayed it. They betrayed it. Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of people. I mean, I've been following some of the protests, and I know everybody. A lot of people are standing up, and I'm not trying to, me. I understand it's going to take everybody together. I mean, that's what makes the U.S. strong, and it can be even stronger if we don't let these cornballs, these bigots, take us backwards. But second of all, look, if they're bigots or not, if they're fascists or not, whatever their plan is, it's time to fight. Like, straight up. These people, like, if it comes down to that, yo, let's get ready to fight. Everybody else outside is watching. Trust me. Everybody is watching. Everybody is watching what Trump is doing to his own people. Every But guess what? When all hell breaks out in that place, you're gonna see a whole lot of people showing up suddenly, because everybody's watching. You know, everybody's watching. I'm telling you, it's on, because all they're gonna do is take it further. If it succeeds in the United States, they're gonna go right next door. That's what they're gonna do. So yeah, that's exactly what their plan is. They're going to go next door. They're gonna go hurt other people. Yeah, exactly. Come on, they ain't gonna stop. But look, let me play this where you left off at. I'm gonna set up the next live while we doing this, and let me play a little bit of Anderson so we can hear about this general. Oh, is it down? The audio's down? Sorry.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, his top military advisor. He made the announcement on social media, quoting from his post. I want to thank General Charles C.Q. Brown for his over 40 years of service to our country, including as our current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's a fine gentleman and an outstanding leader, and I wish a great future for him and his family. The president went on to say, today I'm honored to announce that I'm nominating Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Raisin Kane to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had previously called for General Brown's firing because of his, quote, woke focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the military. Hegseth, on a radio show last fall said, or a podcast last fall said, first of all, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And he went on to talk about how any general involved with DEI efforts should be fired. Either you're in for war fighting and that's it, he said. CNN's Caitlin Collin has more reporting on this, and she joins us right now. It's not entirely unexpected, especially since the new defense secretary has been talking about this before he was even being considered for that job. How much of this is about DEI?
Well, I think it depends on your definition and what that looks like. And I will say that when Hegseth got confirmed as the defense secretary, that he stood next to General C.Q. Brown, and who is the president's top military advisor, effectively, and said that he looked forward to working with him. So we actually saw him strike quite a different tone after Hegseth had gone through the confirmation process. It was actually at the Pentagon. But one thing that was clear was this is something that has been long rumored for weeks now. This was in the works, that was going to happen, that they had not changed their minds on that feeling initially of General C.Q. Brown ever since you heard those comments from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. And just to drive home how unusual this is, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Anderson, typically stays regardless of who the president is. Even if they change parties and it's a different administration, they stay for that 4-year term. And he started his in October of 2023. He succeeded General Mark Milley in this role. And so his term does not expire until the fall of 2027. But with this ouster tonight, Trump has removed him from his post and is now picking someone else to take this position, which really does drive home what you heard from Pete Hegseth in that interview back in November, blaming him for DEI policies. That is obviously part of this. And I've been talking to people in recent weeks. None of them would say on background or privately that C.Q. Brown's job was assured in this role. I will note today he was posting pictures. He was at the southern border and was talking about the work that the military has been doing and what that partnership looks like. And so he clearly was still doing his job as of just a few hours ago before Trump announced on Truth Social tonight that he was ousting him.
Traditionally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, usually as administrations change, that position often remains the same. It's not that each time a new president comes, that person is removed.
Yeah, for example, General Mark Milley. That was Trump's actual handpicked Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman. It might be hard for some to believe, given how much that relationship deteriorated and how Trump talks about Mark Milley now and is, posted things suggesting military tribunals for him. But that was actually someone that he handed in his first term to be the Joint Chiefs chairman and take on that role. It is a 4-year term. When President Biden won and took office, he kept Mark Milley in that role and did not fire him or oust him. And then when his term expired, that is when he picked C.Q. Brown. It is now a 4-year role. It used to be every 2 years, I believe, and then they would go up for Senate confirmation once again. But typically, yeah, those are positions that stay on and that stays regardless of the political party. And so the thing to watch here tonight, though, Anderson, as this is the first major firing that we are seeing happening at the Pentagon since Trump took office just a little over a month ago, is whether anyone else is to follow.
Wait a second. Andre, you say you can't hear? You can't hear it? Let me see. Let me make sure it's playing back. Boom. It should be playing back.
Good evening. We begin tonight with
Can you
breaking
hear it
news.
now?
President Trump has just fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, his top military advisor. He made the announcement on social media, quoting from his post, "I want to thank General Charles C.Q. Brown for his over 40 years of service to our country, including as our current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's a fine gentleman and an outstanding leader, and I wish a great future for him and his family." The president went on to say, "Today, I'm honored to announce that I'm nominating Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Raisin Kane to be the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff." Now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had previously called for General Brown's firing because of his, quote, woke focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the military. Hegseth on a radio show last fall said, or a podcast last fall said, first of all, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And he went on to talk about how any general involved with DEI efforts should be fired.
All right, I'm going to close the stream out, right? Oh, you couldn't hear Pumpkin. Okay, yeah, her audio was, I think it came back though. But I'm going to start the new stream. This is like, again, folks, I'm really just listening to this. This disgusts me. And let's be honest. If you get rid of all these programs, you're going to basically dismantle the military. And that should spell danger to a lot of people, because these fools are not going to be accountable for nothing. You see, and this is seriously just a move to clear out as many people as possible before something very bad happens. And again, the clock is ticking. And let me start the next stream. I don't want to. I got to get my thoughts together. But Pumpkin, you still there? Okay. You see the link in the chat? Oh, you can't see the chat? Okay. Let me see if I can. Let me see. Can I send you a message in a private chat here? I'm gonna send it to you on WhatsApp. All right. We'll be right back. All right, y'all. We'll be right back. Peace, everybody. I'm gonna check in with y'all in a second. Just go to the link there on the screen.
Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it.